My tubes are screaming. They're making noise back here. I don't know why. But anyways, Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh. And I just realized just before I started making this video, or just before I messed up a few times before that take, or this take, the band whose song this is famous for chopping or shutting down videos. So I'm not going to say the name of the band. I'm going to say the name of the guitar player, who was Joe Walsh. And that was his riff. Apparently he was warming up somewhere. I don't know if it was backstage or somewhere. And he, the other guy in the band said, hey, let's do something around that one. And that was just a picking exercise that he just kind of worked on. But Joe Walsh, interesting guy. He cleaned himself up really well. He still looks a little nuts. If you've seen some videos or some interviews, and he was on Ringo Starr's birthday thing last week, which was kind of cool. He's his brother-in-law, by the way, if you didn't know about the social distancing and that's why he was in the same room as him, obviously in his circle. But yeah, it was by this band. We'll put that away real quickly there. And so Joe played in that band, and had played this song. Apparently, Henley doesn't let Joe play this song in his solo sets anymore. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but they're pretty protective of their music, those guys. But yeah, Joe, I call him like the Forrest Gump of rock and roll. Why is that? Because Forrest Gump is the guy who, the fictional character in the movie who was always in these big spots in history, in the history of the United States. He's there with Kennedy, he's there at the Watergate Hotel and that kind of thing. Joe Walsh kind of like that, because Joe, if you guys know this or not, because I like my rock trivia if you haven't noticed. Joe actually sold Jimmy Page the Sunburst Les Paul, the Les Paul that's in the Sun, that the song remains the same, and he played all through those years, and probably still plays today. He sold him that Sunburst. I think it was a 59 or a 60. He also gave Pete Townsend the Gretsch 6120, and I think a Fender, I think it was a 60s reverb, gave it to him and said, hey, write some songs around that, and then he wrote Who's Next. So that's kind of a historic moment in time. Just a few, there's a bunch of stories like that with Joe Walsh. Joe, he pretty much invented the talk box. The guy who developed the talk box worked with Joe on that, and he became the talk box guy. Talk box is an interesting little thing, isn't it? It's only on so many songs in the history of rock and roll. Talk box is interesting. I should do one with a talk box. I have one. I should do a talk box. Yeah, okay. I'll do a talk box video. Anyways, yeah, Joe very much cleaned up his act. Still a little nuts. Love the guy, though. Love him. Even when he was completely blasted out of his mind, you can see some videos on YouTube. He's still playing phenomenal stuff. Check out the video of the US Festival, of his set at the US Festival, where he's playing, and he's the only guitar player in his band. I think he's got a horn section, backup singers, keyboardist, but one guitar, just him. And he's got this whole row of amps, different amps that he's into. But he plays Rocky Mountain Way on a double neck. Of course, I'm going to mention that. He plays it on this custom double neck, which is tuned for slide and 6 strings for regular standard tuning. He plays the thing, and then at the end, you don't see him do it in the video. You can see the clip, but he drops the thing. He just turfs it, and I think it's broken on stage, and he leaves it there on the ground on the stage for the whole set, and even kicks it a few times. Sadly, he lost his double neck anyways that way. Anyways, this song is called Something in the Fast Lane, and it's basically built around E. Now that is the beginning of the riff. Now it's really important tonight, and that's why this was like the third take of this, because I forgot to do the picking pattern. Picking is really important for that. Now you can do that with just kind of both A and D strings at the 5th fret and the 7th fret. So downstroke and upstroke, that kind of thing. So, and just repeating. Cool part is here's the turnaround. Really cool turnaround. Everything else is in E major. The you know, the and the pretty cool. I think, and actually, this whole video was inspired by this guitar here because this is my really cool Squire from years ago. I don't know much. Apparently, some of these Squires from years ago are collectible now because older 80s guitars are starting to become vintage guitars. It's just kind of a cool thing because if you grew up in the 80s, you're seeing stuff that is actually worth money now, which is kind of funny. So whether or not Squires will be worth huge dollars, I don't know. I don't think so. But this one is a keeper. Every one of my guitars has a cool story. This one has a cool story. I'm not going to mention the family's name because they're kind of private. But family came into Avalon Music years ago and asked me to fix up a bunch of guitars, and had some nice stuff. And this thing was in pieces. It was in pieces, and they said put it back together, and you know whatever it costs to for the parts. There's lots of parts missing, and so I put it back together, and I you know kind of fell in love with the guitar because it's such a nice Squire. It's got a real nice feel neck. So I offered them money for it. And make a long story short, they I don't think they took any money for it. I think they just gave it to us and said, hey, it's going to get played because they had it's I'm not going to get into the whole details of it, but it was owned by somebody who was dear to them, and they would want it played. So they said for my son, and in her words, you and your son could play it. And I just said to them, hey, whenever you want it back, here it is. It's going to be hard to pry it from my hands, but it's a cool guitar. Lots of mods were done to it before I fixed it up. I also want to do a question for anybody out there who knows anything about Gotha pickups. You know Gotha, the company that makes tuning pegs and bridges and stuff like that. If you don't know the spelling, because I mumble a lot, the spelling is Gotoh. I don't even know if that's... I heard Guthrie Govan pronounce that as go-to once, because he has a go-to on his earlier Strats. Guthrie's amazing, by the way. Check Guthrie out. But that's what these three pickups are. They're custom pickups, and it looks like this thing used to have a Roland, you know, hex pickup on there because the holes are drilled exactly, and there's a little hole down here to hold the big unit that used to sit down here. Cool guitar. It's got the switch in it to add the bridge pickup to any of this positions. You know, Strat players want that. Anyways, very cool Squires. Squires are awesome, by the way. Don't be a headstock snob. Squires are incredible guitars. Joe Walsh is an incredible guitarist, and so is his band, whatever their name might be. Anyways, have a great day, have a great weekend. Tune into my kids' live stream every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern because they're pretty good. But I'm just saying that because they're my kids, but they are pretty good. Nazareth Guitar Institute. Have a great day. Bye-bye.